Welcome to Can Angels Fly Tarot. I'm Nancy, and I'm back to offer you a real live horror story. Yes, a real live horror story for humanity. Last week, I created a video that focused on doomsday prepping, and it was one of my Aquarius rants. It was the Aquarius rant for October of 2018. And I made that video and I talked about how doomsday prepping it was or is a premeditated, methodical offset or move to offset what many call the shifting poles. I shared in that live stream, I don't believe that there are actual uh, natural pole shifts that occur dramatically. I shared in that live stream that I believe that the pole shifts happen slowly over thousands of years, even millenniums. Is that millenniums? Thousands of years, yeah. Or even millions of years. But due to man's deeds and works, such as digging and drilling and excavating, displacing various sediments in the earth, it has quickened Earth's need to adjust itself. And that's where the term pole shift has come in, as if it is a natural tendency for the Earth to shift dramatically and cause all of the severe weather anomalies that we're facing, and the landslides and the excessive flooding and all those various things. But the truth of the matter, as I shared in that video, is that the enhanced reshifting of the earth has to do with man's works and deeds. And those that were in fields of drilling and digging and excavation and displacement of the various earthly sediments became aware at some point in time that the earth had to resettle herself. And so what they did, they pulled all of their resources, their 401ks, their retirement funds, savings, and they began to create various underground bunkers and shelters and storing up food and weaponry in order to survive the shift that will occur as a result of their work. Something that I didn't cover in that video is the foreseen food shortages and natural resources, the shortages of natural resources in this physical world. I have heard many times that it is projected that by 2050, I want to say, that there won't be enough resources in this earth to satisfy or pacify everyone. And that is true from the perspective of man has drilled, dug, excavated, and harvested all of the natural resources in this earth that they came to understand could help sustain their lives. Whose lives? Man's life. And what am I saying? How can I say this? Is that man has done such drastic and horrific works till the earth has no choice but to resettle herself. So the fact of the matter is we can't get around the resettleization or restabilization of the earth, which they deem pole shifts. We can't get around it. So there is a time that will come that all of the natural disasters will intensify, one on top of the other, each playing into the next in order to do what? Recalibrate the earth. There is no way that what has been harvested, we'll say just in the last 150 years, all of the natural resources, whether food or minerals or ore or whatever, can sustain all of the population of the earth. It is impossible, especially under the extreme conditions that will occur as a result of our proverbial pole shift. There's no way. So, as mentioned, there are select people or elect people, those people that were aware of what must take place, people that are aware and were aware that um, there was no stopping um, this proverbial pole shift, and Earth's need to resettle or recalibrate itself. So there was one of two answers. Well, let me talk about what this video is about. This video is the horror story that I promised to offer to you. And this is a real life horror story, the horror story of humanity. This is the course of action that we are on. This is the course that we are on due to our actions of doing what? Drilling and harvesting and excavating all the natural resources in this earth. Because we have done these things, the day is going to come, the earth has been quickened to again do what? Recalibrate herself, to resettle. And so there will be many, many disturbances, that natural disaster disturbances in this earth that will kill many people. But there will be many that survive, possibly. And during this time, it won't be a time. There's a time for everything. But during this time, there won't be an opportunity to harvest anymore, or to store up, or to replant like agriculture. It won't be that time. The earth will be a mess, absolutely a mess. And so keeping in mind that we're on this particular course, and earth goes through her various recalibration needs to get healthy again. So that is what will lead to the food shortages for the masses, for humanity. However, if the majority of humanity is not aware of what is to take place by 2050, and I'm just kind of grasping for a time period. Maybe I'll remember to talk about that in this video. But for now, I want to try to talk about the course that we are on. The course that we are on foretells of a time that who, me, you, and every individual in humanity that continues to survive up and through 2050 will go through this time period, humanitarian time period, a point on a timeline that I call the purple panic. Yes, purple panic. And the purple panic is where each individual in humanity moves from a state of sanity into insanity. Now, I have to say this. Some people believe that sanity, the state of the mind, is directly related to the brain, the physical body part. And it's quite the contrary. The mind is the portion, I'll say, that connects the flesh to spirit. And so we're dealing with the mind, that part that connects the flesh body to the spirit body. And how that part will be affected negatively, the purple panic, the move from sanity into insanity. Once again, I am confronted with some complications. And the complication is that everything is just overlaid and it's complex. So I'm going to try to break it down to the best of my ability to make sure that you understand this impending horror story for humanity. Right now, humanity is distorted, period. I don't know how any other way to say it. We are distorted. But even in our distortion, many of us, are considered sane. Our minds permit us to go about our day-to-day life and our routines and handle the demands of man, such as work, and also attempt to handle the demands of God. What are demands of God? What is a demand of God? Repentance, what we're doing here in this physical realm, possibly repenting for something that we can't even remember what we did. Excuse me, but we're down here working some things out, or we're in this physical realm working some things out. And so, right now, even with our distorted state of sanity, it's workable, it's acceptable, it's the norm, it's sane, that we are able to decide if we're going to move on something or not, if we're going to accept something or not, if we're going to be about ourselves, or focus on someone else or put them first or not. We can kind of make those decisions. Let me see if I can clarify that. As we move through life currently with our distorted sanity, the normality, we can do our day-to-day routines and activities of, again, meeting the demands of man and those of God. At the same time, is we also are tending to satisfying, no, pacifying the compulsions that we deal with. What are compulsions? I'll talk about some examples of compulsions. Well, we are all birthmarked. Yeah, birthmarked. It's a good term. Birthmarked with compulsions and urges and desires. These are what I deem entities or spirits or demons that we deal with. One innate compulsion or is set of compulsions are the need to survive. We all want to survive. We all have our own self-interest in survival. Whether it has to do with we have an ability to eat, to drink, to go to the restroom, to have companionship. These are innate compulsions or birthmarks. We can't get around them. With that being said, let me put this here right now, make this statement, that when we are already living out this real life horror story, we're just at the onset. We're building to the climax. I'm projecting 2050 to be a heightened space where we finally understand that there is definitely something wrong. But even long before that, because we're just at 2018 now, so, but I just want to give you a little hope, 2050. So, let me see if I can kind of straighten this out as I reveal this real life horror story for humanity. Humanity could include me and you and other folks that we know. So, let me try to get my mind together. The compulsions. We've talked about the need to survive: food, clothes, shelter, warmth, or I say climate control, air conditioning to be comfortable, something to drink, primarily water, the healthy, clean water. We need those things. And I brought those up first because no one is exempt from the basic life sustaining requirements. And so the time period that we are moving into and through is a time period in which we won't be able to satisfy those physical, worldly wants, needs, and desires. Right now, I'm talking about the bare basics. No one will be exempt from this purple panic. What else is it that we have an innate connection to, a need for, a desire or urge? Let's see. Oh, these cats are everywhere and they've gotten quite big. But I don't want to pick them up, they'll be jumping all over me. So, they're everywhere. What are they doing? All right, let's talk about, we've already talked about the food, the need, not need, the requirement for food and air. These are things that help sustain our survival in this physical realm. What am I saying? I'm saying the time that we have moved into and will be moving through the next 50 years, we'll say, is a time that is called the Purple Panic. The Purple Panic is a period in time where people in humanity, such as yourself and myself, will not be able to satisfy our instinctual needs, requirements, such as food, air, and water, and shelter. Our physical security is going to be 100% threatened. No one will be exempt. But then there are other things that we won't be able to satisfy, like the things that we use to enhance our life, like companionship, shelter, clothing, shoes, cars. No, we won't be able to satisfy our needs and wants. Then we have these other instinctual obsessions, like various interests in sex and fetishes. Hunger itself and thirst, these are instinctual. You won't be able to satisfy them. Then there are ego-driven desires. Now, these are all spirits or entities that we contend with in this life that we don't give much recognition to or acknowledgement to, or that they exist. And so right now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about these entities and spirits and demons and principalities that we deal with in this physical realm, but we don't acknowledge that they're real and that they're outside of us. They're inside of us. But we are contending with something that is, how can I say, separate from us. No, these cats didn't pull my cord out my laptop. Stop, kitty. Stop it. Bad cats. If y'all want a cat and you stay in the Detroit area, let me know. They're black. 3 black cats, and they each need a home. They got to get up out of here. Babies, get out. Come here. Come on. Come outside. Come on. Come on. No, don't run now. Because y'all being bad. They going to make me mad because this cord costs like, I think, $80. They're going to make me turn up in here. I don't know why everything want to irritate me. I apologize. Probably going to keep on fussing because they bad. They little babies. Get your babies, please. Talking to the mama. So, we just talked about various instinctual urges that we have as human beings. Now we're talking about ego desires, such as power and control. Power and control will be difficult during the time of the purple panic to satisfy, as well as the need for fame and popularity. How about this? Or praise and accolades. During the purple panic, these things will be very difficult to satisfy. When I say things, they're actual entities wanting to be fed. So let me try to make this clear. What wants to be fed? What wants to be fed are the basic requirements for your survival. Hunger and thirst wants to be fed. Your physical body wants to be in a environmentally temperature controlled environment. It wants to be fed. It wants to be satisfied, pacified. Fame, the need for fame and popularity, wants to be satisfied, pacified. It wants to be fed. And then human beings, part of the human condition is that we have philosophies and beliefs and rituals. Guess what? Those spirits, entities, and principalities want to be fed and satisfied. What am I saying? I'm saying that during this purple panic, we will have a historically decreased ability to pacify these entities, the spirits, the principalities, these demons. We won't be able to, and for various reasons. One being, one we're keeping in mind, is that we are going through a proverbial pole shift. We talked about that at the beginning of this video. So, understand, during this time frame in history of humanity, the Purple Panic, the time period in which we've already entered, that humans will be moving from a state of sanity or distorted sanity into a place of insanity. I'm not talking about some type of defect, physical defect of the brain. No. I'm talking about the torment of the mind. You know, I think I talked about it in this video. This is the second time I've done it. That the mind is that which brings spirit and physicality together. We are talking about a dysfunction or a torture or a torment of the mind through the inability to pacify these demons and devils and principalities that lie within us and demand to be pacified. But due to the unfolding recalibration of the earth with the pole shifts, we won't be able to satisfy them. We won't be able to pacify them. Why? Well, many institutions, potential jobs will be closing. So you won't be able to make the money, the fiat note, in order to buy into your fetishes and satisfy your sexual desires, to get the drugs or the dope or the alcohol or the cigarettes that you have an obsession or desire for. Those kind of things. And it goes on. How can you satisfy fame and popularity if there's nothing for you to feed on? This is all a part of the Purple Panic, which is the real life horror story humanity has moved into and is now moving through. So let's use our imagination to foresee humanity walking through this time period in the history of humanity. You know what, kitties? Kitties. I see a spanking coming on. And pull my plug out again. So, let me go on. They've thrown me off again. So I'm going to start where I can. All right. I know we just got through talking about our personal wants, needs, and desires, those demons and urges and principalities. We've been birthmarked with one or more of them. We're entering into a time frame or a time period in which we, as individuals, will not be able to satisfy any and everything that we've been birthmarked with, whatever it may be. Your birthmark is independent to who you are and what you are involved in. So, that hell that you'll go through is individualized. So, sanity. The move from sanity into insanity. Insanity is defined as the state of being seriously mentally ill, madness to an extreme, foolishness or irrationality, even psychotic disorders of what? The mind, not the brain. Why is that important? Well, the move from sanity into insanity lets us know that humanity, if the days are not cut short, as offered by the proverbial pole shifting, thank goodness for that, that will what? Kill a large majority of humanity, but we'll get back to that. We'll have to continue to move into this time of the Purple Panic. And in the height of the Purple Panic, Insanity will be the mainstream mindset that will give birth as it grows in intensity into immorality. Meaning what? People will be doing whatever they can. They're already doing it. But guess what, y'all? This is a real live horror story for humanity. People are going to grow in intensity doing whatever they can in order to satisfy, or to pacify those various principles and demons and obsessions and urges. I want to read something from Matthew's chapter 24, and it says that I'm going to just read the whole thing. It says, how miserable those days will be for pregnant and nursing mothers. I'm quite sure. Pray that your flight will not occur in the winter or on the Sabbath. Well, what I'll say about that particular verse is that you can go check out that Aquarius October rant. When I focus on the doomsday prepping, I go over that and what that means. And it goes on, it says, for at that time, there will be great tribulation. Ooh, great tribulation. What tribulation? Where or when humanity has moved from that distorted state of sanity into complete insanity because they are having trouble pacifying these spirits and entities and demons that are demanding to be fed. Therefore, the individuals in humanity will grow in a lack of morality, doing any and everything to satisfy these entities and spirits and demons and principalities that are tormenting them relentlessly. Those spirits will wind and with grinch, they will be welling. They will be welling. Okay, during this time, the compulsions, those spirits, those entities, those demons, will wail, carry on, so that people or person won't be able to even think clear. They won't even be able to execute our current level of distorted insanity. No, they won't be able to think clearly and will behave immorally in attempts to get what is necessary to quiet the starving urges and desires and demons and principalities. This is what the purple panic consists of. Anyway, back to the read. It says, how miserable those days will be for pregnant and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not occur in the winter or on the Sabbath. For at that time there will be great tribulation. That's what we're just talking about. Unmatched. And you say, unmatched from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be seen again. Won't see anything like ever. You never have. The world never has, nor ever will see anything like this purple panic that I'm telling you about. It's as if those days had not been cut short, going back to the doomsday prepping, nobody will be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. Wow. Let's see. So what am I saying in all of my rambling? I am sharing here for this October video. Do they call it for the thrill seekers or the fear mongers? Yes, that humanity are really living out a real live horror story. And we're just at the beginning, just at the onset. Right now, we are in this acceptable, normal, kind of distorted insanity where we're here tending to man's wants and needs. We're addressing them, their demands. We're addressing, trying to address God's demands for us, and we doing what we got to do from day to day. At the same time, we are pacifying, we're feeding alcoholism, drug abuse, sexual fetishes and desires and urges and food and whatever else goes on in order to keep those spirits at bay or suppressed. But the time is coming, again, referring back to the doomsday prepping video, that we won't even be able to satisfy those various urges, spirits, entities, principalities, demons, obsessions. We won't be able to, and for various reasons. And guess what? Those demons, principalities, obsessions, and urges are going to make themselves known like never before, tribulation, in the history of humanity. Because they're going to be what? Dwelling and carrying on, so demanding to be fed. And we who, individuals in humanity, will not have the capability of pacifying them. And those spirits and entities and demons are not going to let up on any of us, driving us to the point of insanity, while still being faced with what? Trying to satisfy the demands of man and those of God. Well, we can't, because we will be what? Insane. So, we'll move through that experience into increased immortality, violence, and aggression. Oh, we're talking about unlike anything anyone has ever seen in the history of humanity. Never. Not being able to pacify those spirits and entities and demons, we will turn against one another violently, destroying the earth. Now this tale is a real life horror story that is projected to happen for humanity in the next 50 years. And I'm being generous. Because the truth of the matter is, we're already in the purple panic. The story has already begun. However, there are those that are aware of this unfolding purple panic and are also aware of how all of our humanity's, again, digging and drilling and excavations have helped to satisfy one way or another our urges and demons. It's all about pacifying them to keep us alive and striving. All of that is going to be minimized or diminished because the earth is going to go through her proverbial pole shift. Therefore, certain people, elect people, are hiding away in what we call doomsday bunkers. They are doomsday preppers. They have supplies of food, etc., so that they can lie away while this process takes place. So let me see if I can clear this up and shut this video down. Let's say those that were into those various fields of work did not come to understand that the earth would have to calibrate herself. They never realized that. Then we all would be moving into this time period of madness and insanity and increased mortality. Immortality? Not immortality. What do you call it? Immoral works and deeds in order to pacify our own individual needs and desires, to pacify our own demons. This world would become, what's the term? Desolate. Desolate. Why? Because we've already done the works to the earth, so there still will be that proverbial pole shift. And as a result of the proverbial pole shift, there will be no more harvesting or drilling or yielding or earnings in order to pacify the spirits and the demons within and around. So we would all kill each other. This is a real life horror story. It was something else that I picked up and I reported before that I saw in the astrological energies for the time period between our current time of 2018 all the way up to 2050. There is this delusion that exists. How can I say this? That are the scene that we see around and about us is familiar. We know it. We know the grass to be green, the trees to be whatever they are doing, whatever season, etc., etc. We know this. But it's the undertone that will be carrying reality that will be vague. We won't know what's going on. But I'm here to tell you what's going to be going on. It's going to be an increased state of insanity brought on by the inability to satisfy those demons that have us at their whim. We won't be able to do it. And so we're going to move into that time. And I was trying to find it was something here. You see, I got papers all over the place. I can't find it. It was something that I wanted to read, but I can't find it. So I guess I'm not going to worry about it. I shared as much as I can. Anyway, it was a desolation. It's a little statement that is frequent in the Bible. It's called abomination of desolation. That's where we will be headed collectively. That's where we are. However, the scripture at Matthew says, if those days had not been cut short, that's the line right there. We are headed collectively to the abomination of desolation, where humanity is insane due to what? The inability to pacify those entities, demons, and principalities. Still faced with satisfying the demands of man and of God and the resettlement of this earth. And this scripture in the Bible, Matthew 24, verse 22 says, if those days had not been cut short by what? Man and their works and deeds of excavating and drilling and excavating and harvesting all the natural resources, has forcefully forced earth or quickened her to have to resettle or recalibrate herself, because she was built to do certain things and she will continue to do so. So go back to the reading. It says, if those days had not been cut short, nobody would be saved. Nobody. So what is this line, or who is this line suggesting that will be saved? It says the elect. And who are the elect? Oh, yep. It's those people in power. It's those people in those lines of work that were very aware of natural, what do you call it? Natural science. That once they gutted the earth out, that she had to resettle herself, they were quickening her to recalibrate herself, leading to many, many natural disasters until she is stable again. I read again. If those days had not been cut short, nobody would survive. But for the sake of the elect, for the sake of them that knew, those days will be shortened. Meaning, okay, you're aware. Who's aware? Those elect people. Who are the elect people? People in power. People that were in those lines of work of excavation and harvesting and various things like that. They create doomsday bunkers, etc., etc., etc. They doomsday prep. They will hide away as the earth goes through her recalibration, while everyone else perishes during the cutting short, the desolation of the abomination, cutting that down and out, cutting that timeline down. How can I say that? How can I say this? See, the abomination of desolation would take out all of humanity. No one would survive. Why? Because no one would have prepared or prepped. And that's the majority of humanity. But due to the elect, those that did know, they did know what was going to happen. They do know. And that have set up doomsday or offsetting schemes or scams in order to offset or withstand the radical changes this earth will take place, they will survive. And it's like, and I explained it in that Aquarius October rant called Doomsday Prepping. It almost seems like, in reality, that this purple panic was known of. And they can't tell all of humanity. It would cause insanity to jump in prior to Earth going into full effect of recalibrating herself. Therefore, people would not be able to make it to their bunkers to secure or lock themselves away for this time of this Earth recalibration that I'm speaking of. So it has to be done in secret. It also has to be done in secret for the purpose of two things: saving part of humanity in order to take humanity and a particular bloodline into the future. And it also has to be done in secret because there are not enough resources. All that we've harvested in the last 150 years is not enough to sustain all of humanity doing the recalibration or the resettling of the earth. It's no way. So only a elect portion of our population will be tucked away in order to survive the effects of the recalibration or the pole shifts of this earth to come out later and to recolonize, I'll say, while the rest of humanity will perish. The only other scenario that is possible is that if no one knew that this was going to take place, humanity would continue to move forward as they have been. Earth has still been prompt to quicken her recalibration process, pole shifting. And all of humanity would suffer from what? Shortages. Why? Due to the inability to harvest or to dig or to create medicines. Why? Due to all the natural resources destabilizing civilization. And all of humanity would be destroyed. It is so interesting how this is because in a way it is saving, humanity. But the dark side of it is that it was planned by elitists, higher ups, people in power, because there was another way. Another way was that we did not have to abuse the natural resources in this earth. I talked about it in that particular video I brought up. We didn't have to do that, but we did continue to extort earth for her natural resources and displace everything for our own ends. We used earth's means for our own ends. And because we kept doing that, now we have to live out the karma of it. And so what is happening is so crazy that the karma is going to be paid by the majority of humanity, while some elect folk get to hide away. The real crazy part about it is those elect folks that hide away are the ones, if you've been following me, if I'm making it make sense, are the ones that held those particular positions that perpetuated the displacement and excavation and displacement of Earth's natural resources. They are the ones that get to hide away. So, I don't know if I made that make sense. But what I was sharing here is that we who, me, you, and every individual in humanity that is and may be in the future are really, at this point in time and onward, living out a real life horror story. And many of us don't even know it. How can you prepare when you don't know? Well, I'm so happy you came here to Can Angels Fly Tarot. Now you know, which means that you can began to prep. If you watch me, everything's starting to make sense to you now. Doomsday prepping, zombie apocalypse, food shortages, the return of Christ, the awakening. Y'all let me know, am I doing a significant job in helping you understand or see clearly what all of this is about. And I say, I want you to let me know that because I know that I'm not the only one giving this message. However, when people give these messages, they make them seem so surreal or mystical or extraterrestrial-ish, or but this is reality. I often share here on YouTube that I am reared by Saturn. So for me, it's about practicality. And I'm an Aquarius, it's about real hardcore facts. These are the facts that are surrounding our existence. And many of us are blinded by our own personal interests in our immediate worlds and not considering the future, our family's future, and the future of humanity. But this is what's really taking place. you know. And what am I saying this for? It is time for us that have never thought about doomsday prepping to begin to prep. And not only that, it's about getting one's sanity together, minds together. Because remember, the purple panic is about humanity's move from this, I have to say it, is this distorted sense of sanity to a complete insane state. It is not that the physical brain is deficient or defective or disabled. No, it is about the mind, which is connected between spirit and physical. It is the mind that is being affected. Our minds all along have been affected by our physical experience here. It has caused us to feel some type of way, to be a certain type of people or creature or soul, put our souls in a certain space. And right now, it's letting me, the astrological energies are letting us know that we, humanity, as far as our souls, are in a particular space in which our souls are so vulnerable to the point that we have, see, this is going on. I'm going to try to go on another 15 minutes so that I have shared in a way that I feel like you understand what I'm saying. That our souls have been improperly influenced in this realm. One thing that we are not aware of or acknowledging is that our physical experience is affecting our state of our soul. An example is a person that, and I just did a video about this not too long ago when I went to the doctor's office. I went to the hospital through emergency because of whatever was bothering me. I think it was a hernia rupture or something. Where it was, I had the experience of my superpower coming online. Remember I talked about superpowers coming online? The superpower was about overcoming the flesh's impact upon the spirit which dwells within the body. I was dealing with severe pain. How do you overcome pain in this physical body so that it does not impact your spirit? That's what we're dealing with during this purple panic time phase I'm speaking of. We personally, each of us will be dealing with whatever birthmark we have or human condition we have, such as some of them are, we can say self-imposed, some of us have become alcoholics. How do you say no in order to keep your mind right? Or how can you keep your mind right? By saying no to this spirit that ain't gonna let up on you. Or drug abuse. How do you say no to that spirit that wanna be fed them drugs through your body? How do you say no? We are moving into a time where, we can selectively say, I quit drinking, I'm going cold turkey, and do the battle. I'm trying to make this make sense. Do the battle ourselves. No, I'm not going to drink. No, I'm not going to smoke cigarettes. No, I'm not going to take dope. No, I ain't going to dive off into that fetish. No, I ain't going to overeat. No, I ain't going to overdrink. I ain't going to party too much. I don't care what the spirit is doing to me, leaning on me. I ain't going to let it happen. We can do that. We could, at any point in time in our history, in our existence, we could have done that. Some of us did do it. Some of us, what they said, fell off the wagon, got back on the wagon, fell off the wagon, spent our whole lives doing that. But the time frame of the purple panic is when we don't even have a choice. I hope I made it make sense. We don't have a choice. The dope won't be being produced in the capacity or in the quantity that it has. So not many will be satisfied. The work opportunities will not be readily available for you to make the fiat, the money, so that you can buy into whatever your fetish is. So, how do you say no when you ain't ready to say no? When you don't want to say no? See, that runs us into this state of insanity. Now, this is what the elite know that common men and women don't know. This is a real life horror story. If you can just imagine. If you can just imagine. I mean, it even goes as far as, air. Not having, they've had movies before where they have people have gone subterranean, living underground, and they have ventilation systems that pump air underground. And how somebody seizes control of those ventilation shafts and shuts it down so that people can't breathe. If they want the air, then they have to pay whoever has taken control of that ventilation shaft. Those kind of things are what we're headed into in the near future. Another thing I talked about in that other live stream about the doomsday prepping, this is all real, but it's for your entertainment purposes. What they say is for entertainment purposes only. For me, it's real, from what I can see. Is that I talked about also how the fires that are the wildfires that are taking place across the world, primarily California in the United States. Why is it happening? I suggested in that particular video that, remember, Earth has been quickened to recalibrate herself. She has to restabilize herself so she can do what? Get back to work, doing what she was made to do, which was to produce the resources that she produces. But due to the extensive blight that humans placed on her, she cannot produce until she gets back into shape. So she got to recalibrate herself. The people that have these doomsday bunkers and are prepping, they already know this. They also know once she comes out of her recalibration process, she will be moving into the phase of beginning to reproduce again. However, there's a phase between her going through the calibration and resetting to reproduce. So the natural fires that have been strategically set now are to help cleanse particular parts of the earth. So immediately after her recalibration, that part of the earth is already quickened, even past earth, to be ready to be re-soiled and reflipped, and you know what I'm saying, in order to plant seeds for food. Why? Remember, doomsday prepping, you can only store so much. I think they say that a lot of them prep for between 3 to 10 years. 3 to 10 years. See, that's how long they believe that it will take Earth to complete her recalibration process. Once they are able to come up, they will replant their seeds in those already quickened areas, landmass that they've already cleared out, and begin the regeneration process on. They're going to come out and plant their seeds there. That will be their initial Garden of Eden. Now, I'm hoping I'm making this make sense. And why am I talking about this? Number one, it's October. So I thought I'd offer you a little fear. Yeah, a little fear porn is what they call it. And so I'm telling you about what is to take place and why. Now it's up to you to believe it or not, or research it or not. But that's exactly where we're headed. Another thing you've heard me say in the course of this video is that we are already in this, on that timeline. We're already on that timeline. When Uranus entered into Taurus, that's one of the astrological um, alignments. When Uranus entered Aries, that was the onset of the purple panic, the move into a specific timeline, the one that we're on. And the question is, for me, can we come out of it? Can we? I really don't see how we can. I really don't. Unless the masses wake up and start taking things very, 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 very seriously and come to understand it's about starting to, the reality. I guess you're not supposed to just throw out fear porn. You should give some answers. But who listens? Who listens? Because we are so ego driven. However, some of the answers that exist are to commune or come together with those in your family, your community, in order to work together. If you can begin to save any seeds that you have, if you can get any seeds, you should get the seeds. You should buy land. This is why so many people are interested in buying land. Go ahead and buy the land and begin to cultivate it, yield it, build you a little shack, in which you can store certain supplies just in case you are the ones. And let me talk about, I'm gonna let y'all go because it's been an hour. I just wanted to get that real life horror story out to you so you can know, so you can be with the elite, so you can understand. But how do I say, answers? How do you prepare? Especially if you don't have, like myself. One thing is, as I mentioned, for families to come together. The family units, many of them have been broken down. It's time to reestablish the family units for the sole purpose of what? Survival. Therefore, we have to understand the importance of structure and hierarchy. What they say, can only be one king and queen under a roof, and then everybody has to have a position and play their roles. These are important. These are all the things that our people in power has stripped from our existence, our reality, from our personal lives, and we didn't see it. We did see it, but we didn't understand why it was so relevant for those things to be stripped away. It was so that we couldn't work together in order to survive times like I'm talking about. And all of these things you can research and see for yourself. It's up to you if you're willing to take the time. That's another thing that they took from us, the ability to want to search out to see and to understand. That's why I'm here. Anywho, we're talking about how do you survive when you don't have a large full K1 or savings. Of course, you learn, you come together with your family. And it's not just about family. It is about the people in your community. Let's say, hypothetically, case scenario, next month or next year is truly an onset of Earth's need to recalibrate herself, and some things really pop off. They've already been happening. Fires and earthquakes and volcanoes, all these things, and we've had asteroid showers, all kind of things that have been happening. The chances of a whole city or a community moving is just little slim to none. So you have to learn how to work together. See, that's another thing that I notice, especially in my community. People don't know how to work together. There are no more block clubs and things like that. We don't want people in our business. We don't want people asking us for anything. But those are the various things that were put in place by what? The elite, the elect, the people, and officials, to make sure that we didn't know how to work together to survive times such as what I'm speaking of. This is the time in which you need to come together and learn how to work together. Because either you're going to work together, or when that insanity sets in, that is promised to come, you, me, we all will turn against each other. And will do some of the most demonic or deviant things to one another for what? In order to sustain our own survival, to pacify the demons and spirits that we deal with. I was talking about in this video how superpowers are coming online. You may have, like I have, had to deal with your personal superpower, learning how to overcome those a particular entity or spirit or principality that is governing over your life through some personal, physical, worldly want, need, or desire. This is the time that divinity is offering us to train ourselves relative to those demons, to get them under control, under our foot or our footstool, so that they won't be able to control us and drive us to this state of insanity that will ultimately lead, if the days are not cut short, to the abomination of desolation. So, either on an individual basis, you learn how to work with those various entities and demons and spirits and obsessions and urges that you have been contending with. You just have not acknowledged them as individual entities that have a controlling interest in your physical existence and therefore your spirituality. And then you need to learn how to work with those in your immediate community and focus more on, again, working together, storaging, and like portions, those kind of things, and understanding. First, it's like you got to understand what you're about to deal with, so you won't get caught off guard. So you don't what? You don't get caught slipping. It is getting caught slipping that will help to usher in the insanity. But if you are aware of what is to take place and what is taking place, you can prepare. You can ground yourself, what they call it, root yourself, ground yourself, and be prepared and ready to have a response to what is going to happen. And you can have a healthy response. But if we are in communities, places, and spaces, and we allow ourselves to be caught slipping or off guard, we're going to turn against each other, and we're going to be moving forward on the timeline as offered by the purple panic, which is to the abomination of desolation that will be cut short, trust and believe, by those elect people that knew what was going to happen. They have stored away what they need in order to attempt to survive, attempt to offset the proverbial pole shift. But I'm going to let y'all go and let me know if you understand what I'm talking about, or do I need to come in and go into further details. Anywho, thank you for coming here to Can Angels Fly Tarot and allowing me, Nancy, to offer you a hauntingly real horror story for the month of October. Bye.